It was way back in 1996. I used to come with my mother several times to Prashanti Nilayam, but at no time did that spark of devotion actually, it wasn't there in me. It was just one place you could come, you could eat ice cream in the uh, stores over there. We used to enjoy those small Vicks tablets, eating those. And that's all I used to remember Prashanti Nilayam for, the old Prashanti Nilayam. And 1996, Bhagwan was like a faraway thought, hardly in my mind, because all my attention in the intervening 2 years was on the preparation for the entrance to IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology. Now, the results were announced, and it was a very happy moment in our family. And my grandmother, who was there, she said, before you join college, that is in Chennai, we were staying in Hyderabad that time. She said, we have to first go to Prashanti Nilayam. We should pay gratitude to Bhagwan, and then you should go to join IIT. And my first thought was, why? No, I am the one who has put in this hard work, and I am the one who's gifted in these, with so much intellect. Where did Bhagwan come into all this? But you never refuse a grandmother, and you say, okay, you play along. So he said, okay, let's go. And that's how, we got into a bus from Hyderabad to Prashanti Nilayam. Somewhere around 6 o'clock in the morning, the bus it just stopped opposite the super specialty hospital. And I woke up, I turned to my right, and I see this huge palatial building. It looks like, some Vatican palace or some king's palace. And I thought, okay, so this is Bhagwan's residence. And I asked my grandma, so this is where Bhagwan stays? She said, no, that's not where he stays. And then we made our way to Prashanti Nilayam. Now, looking back, I laugh at myself for that question, because if you see Bhagwan's quarters in any of his residences, Swami lived such a Spartan life. For himself, he never asked anything. And if you see, you'll realize the contrast that for his devotees, he has constructed such a huge palatial building called the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, which is my privilege to serve in that division which administers to these temples of healing. And the time which I had come to Prashanti Nilayam was a very interesting time. This was July 1996. And it was my great fortune that exactly during that period, Bhagwan, every day he would give a discourse. This was a series of 70 days when Bhagwan used to give a discourse every single day. So the format was that there will be bhajans for 15 minutes, and then a student would speak, and then Bhagwan would give his divine discourse. And I was completely mesmerized. I just spent 3 days in Prashanti Nilayam, and 3 days means 6 darshans, which means like 6 times taking the token in the darshan lines. And 5 out of those 6 times, I had got the first line. I drew the first line. I did not know the significance of it at that time, but there I found myself every day seated at almost the same place, having a vantage point view of what was going on in the Kulwant Hall. And you must imagine, the dazzling lights of Kulwant Hall and Bhagwan's countenance, that bright countenance, its aura of divinity. And then what caught me the most, what caught my attention the most, was Bhagwan's interaction with the students. So he would every day come, I could see that some humorous banter would go on between Bhagwan and the bhajan group right in front. And then that one privileged person would get to speak in Swami's presence and the discourse. And on the very last day, before I was to leave Prashanti Nilayam, that day, Bhagwan, while speaking in the discourse, he was making reference to one of the students. He was talking about something. He was relating the life history of that particular student. And as he spoke, he said, that boy, he's right here. And he called him from amongst the students seated there. He said, come. And that was a very small, he was in 8th class, a small little boy. And when Swami called, he just ran. And he, hugged Swami and started crying and crying. And you could see Swami also choked with emotion. I just saw that one scene and that's it. I was mesmerized for life. I had decided that if there was anything that I wanted in life, it was this love of Bhagwan. That thought consumed me so much. Like I could not wait for the next time that I could come to Prashanti Nilayam. I was completely taken in by the charisma, the draw of the Lord Himself. I remember, like, I could hardly wait for that semester to end. The semester examinations were going on, and there, as I'm writing the exam, I was singing Swami's bhajans because my mind was not on the exam. My mind was already, it had gone ahead to Prashanti Nilayam. And, I used to come as often as I could and have Bhagwan's darshan because I wanted some way to get closer and closer to Bhagwan. I can best describe what happened to me by looking at the history of science. You see, for the very, very long time, in the Western world at least, they used to believe that it is Earth that is at the center of the universe. They used to look at, it's very natural. You look at the moon, it is rotating around you. Every day you see the sun making rounds around the earth. So it's natural to believe that actually it is Earth that is at the center of the universe. And that was challenged hardly a few centuries ago when scientists of that time, they made observations and they found no, it is not Earth that is at the center of the universe. Indeed, the Earth itself is rotating, revolving around the sun. And with many of us, before we come to Bhagwan, our life is also like this. See, we think that we are at the center of our lives, in fact, of the entire universe. We think that what matters most is our feelings, our desires, what we want. That is what matters most to us, what emotions we are going through, what desires we have. That's what consumes us our entire lives. And then Bhagwan comes, and then you realize that who is at the center of your life, who is at the center of the universe itself is Bhagwan. And then no other thought consumes you other than how do you reach that center of the universe. And that is a very, very arduous journey to make.